In this lesson, we're going to be talking about JQuery AJAX and interacting with XML data documents. So as a brief review, if you haven't seen AJAX before, AJAX stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It is a combination of the JavaScript DOM and browser-generated HTTP requests, and what it allows us to do is have our browser send a request through the internet to a server. That server processes information. It sends data back to the browser, and then the browser uses JavaScript DOM to alter the current page, and it changes the information that's on the page without refreshing or reloading the page. You can do AJAX without jQuery. Just straight JavaScript, you can write AJAX, but it is much easier using the jQuery library. Here's the parts of an AJAX call. So first there's the AJAX method, and that method takes an object, and that's what these curly braces show. That object has a bunch of properties and values, and that's what we're going to talk about next. There's the type property, and that can be set to get or post. In this situation, for these XML queries, we're always going to be using the get type. The URL is the file that we're pointing to. It's going to be the XML file where the data is that we're trying to get. If that XML file isn't in the same directory, you'll have to use a relative path, and don't forget to use the .xml extension on the file. Then we specify the data type of that file as XML, and then there's success and error functions based on what happens in the AJAX call. So the syntax looks like this, where we've got $.ajax, the parentheses, and then that object. Our properties and values are separated by colons, and our pairings are separated by commas. So type is get, URL is data.xml, the data type is XML. The success property calls a function with this parameter in it. That response parameter is a callback parameter. Anything in data XML is going to get dumped into this response variable. And there's a comma after that, and then error function just alerts that there's an error, no comma after the final thing, and that ends our AJAX call. So when an AJAX call is successful, what happens is we come down into the jQuery AJAX call, and that jQuery AJAX reaches out to a XML file. That XML file then bundles up all of its code and sends it back in the success function into the response callback parameter. Then that success function takes all that XML code and processes it and pushes the piece that it wants into the DOM, into the document using the DOM. Once again, all of this happens behind the scenes without the page having to be reloaded. So let's take a look at how this actually works. On the right, you're going to see an XML document. That XML document has a root of courses, and then inside of it, you're going to see that there's two courses. There's the CS1 course, and then there's this CS206 course. If you're interested in learning how to write XML, there's another video on that. Be sure to check it out. But for now, we're just going to take this XML at its face value. The success function, as we said, all of this information is going to get dumped into that response variable. So inside the success function, we treat that response value as a jQuery variable, and we do a .find course. And that find command is going to give us a list of all of the course tags that are in the document. Well, there's two of them right now. And then the each function is going to cycle over that list. So what we're getting here is a loop that is going to loop over all of the course elements. While we're in here, the keyword this is referring to the current course, the one that we're currently iterating over. So the first time it's this course. And so I say this.find title. So what it does is in this course, it finds a tag named title and gets its text, CS1, and stores it in this variable. Then we create an H2 node and push that text into it. And then we append that H2 node to the body. Well, that's the end of that iteration. It comes back up around. It now goes to the next course in the list. It finds its title and gets the text out of there, pushes that into an H2 and appends it to a body. And so now, when this runs somewhere in the body, I'm going to have CS1 and CS206. thing about this process is that I've written my web page to respond to whatever happens in this document. So if somebody were to come over here and add 3 more courses, then 5 course titles would appear in this list. If somebody edited this to say AP Computer Science, then instead of saying CS1 over here, it would say AP Computer Science. And the great thing, or one of the great things about XML, is that it's human readable. Take a second and imagine somebody you know, a friend, a family member that is not very computer savvy. And then ask yourself, if I had a little bit of time, could I teach them to edit this or to copy this and make a new course with different information? And most likely the answer to that is yes, you could probably do that. And what that's going to do is it's going to give people that are non-technical people, non-computer people, the ability to create and edit content that will then populate their web page. Sometimes we have objects inside of objects in our XML. So over here on the right, you'll see that I have an XML document about departments. I'm only showing one of them right now. Otherwise, the font would have been so small you never would have been able to read anything. In this department, it's got a name, and then it's got a list of awards. And right now, there's 2 awards. So the first thing that I have to do is I have to cycle through the departments. So when we come back to response, we do response.findDepartment.each. Again, cycling through the departments. And I'm going to get the name of that department and store it in this variable. Now I have to go through the awards, which is going to be another each function. So what I need to do is I need to temporarily store the department that I'm on, because that next each function is also going to have a this reference, and then that's going to be confusing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to store it in a department variable in case I need a reference to that big object later on. And I'm going to create an unordered list node. Now, from the current department that I'm in, I'm going to find a list of all the award tags, and I'm going to cycle through them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the title of that award. I'm going to create an LI tag and push that in as text. And then I'm going to append that LI. And for as many departments as there are, and for each department, as many awards as there are, it's going to generate this list of information. And then I can take all that stuff and append it to a section or to a body or to some other piece of information inside of my main document. So that's the basics. Make sure you go to the website, cs.mickeyengel.com. Check out the jQuery page to see notes and links, and of course, work on the practice problems. First time through, I would work on level 1, practice problems number 1, 2, and 3. Those will be your best shot at getting things complete, and then you can progress to the other levels later on. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.